Hey everyone, Asian Bass Guy here. Today I'm going to talk about my most favorite technique, but trying to do just like a review on swim jigs and what kind of swim jigs to get. You see a lot of pros fishing with swim jigs now, and I think it's been it's an old technique. Guys in the guys when Classic first or the Bassmasters first started, like the guys like Jimmy Houston and whatnot, and they used to throw it, and it's kind of, I think it's coming back more. You see more and more fishermen on the Elite Series throwing it, and you just hear a lot more people throwing it and having success with it. I'm going to do a review on the swim jigs that I like to throw. I like to throw the V&M Living Image, and this one here, and this one is a purple craw. And then also a buddy of mine showed me, and he's not a real big bass fisherman, but he was getting into it, and he liked the way this looked on the website because he saw the Living Image, what I was throwing, because of the head style like this. You want to throw a, this is by far the best I found that comes through the cover, opposed to this one. The Arky style. I guess it's called Arky style. This is more of a stand-up jig. But he liked the way it looked on the website, and he saw the head had the right head on it, the line tie, and so this is the other one, Boss, made by Boss. Kind of relatively new company, I think, but this has a really good head and line tie, and he was throwing it and catching just as many fish as I was with it, and so that's why I started buying those too. But when I first started swimming a jig, this was what I was swimming, just because that's what I had. And you can go down to Walmart and buy these, and some of these are what, $1.50. I think these are about $3.50 or something like that. But these are a lot better because, as you can see on this one, it's got a pretty thick hook, and the weed guard's a lot more rigid. On this one, it's got a little bit more light wire hook, and the weed guard's not as rigid, and that kind of makes up a swim jig. And also the size, 3/8 to 1/4 is usually normal swim jig. I have this one here. I don't know the brand of it, but it's it's more of a weed flipping jig. But I do like the line tie on it. Just kind of has a hole on top there. Now I will use this. This is a big lunch, and this has a big thick wire hook and a really thick bristle weed guard, and that's why I trimmed it, as you can see here. So when they do eat it, it hooks up. It's got a lot better hookup ratio. But I use this for anything over 8 foot deep to swim. I'll swim this. Now you can also add a swim bait or your something with a little bit of action. I strictly pretty much use Rage Tail, the Rage Tail Craws, or the Rage Tail Space Monkeys. And if you don't know what a Space Monkey looks like, it looks like this, and it's got appendages and whatnot. Pretty much what I do is rip the head off, and then I rig it down. I rig it down to where it almost has that curly, see that curling action? That's I rigged it down a little bit too far. But right there. And the reasoning for that, and you want to make sure this is straight. The reasoning for that is when you snap it and pop it, because these things you can snap it, pop it, rip it, and or if a fish comes up and just grabs the trailer, it won't pull it down as much. I mean, yeah, over time it will pull it down and whatnot, but what I do too is what you can do is if you got one and it's kind of blown out down here, you can take it, flip it, cut the top, and flip it and rig it the other way. and it saves you a little bit of money. And another thing I do is I do fish these space monkeys on Carolina rigs, and sometimes the top of the head it gets all chewed up and it gets all opened up, and all I do is I'll throw them in a bag, and then when I need a trailer for an hour or something like that, you get a few more casts out of them, cut the top off, rig them up, and but they do have that hole down on the bottom here, so I just turn them around and flip and put them on. And so it just kind of saves you money doing that. Now what I do is I try to match, like this color, this jig color has a little bit of green, so that's why I throw a little bit of this green on there. I think it's green pumpkin or something like that. And oh, another thing you can do is you can put a toothpick where the straight into the bait, where the bait, the trailer hook, or the bait keeper is. You can put a toothpick through there, hold this bait on there, or hold your trailer on there a lot longer. But I fish these relatively in clear to stained water. I'll fish a little bit of muddy water, but when I do that, I've got 3 different kinds. I've got the Gambler, got the Zoom, and also I've got the Lake Fork Tackle. And what these are, I can get them open. They're more of a speed worm, like this. And that's the Zoom. And this is the Gambler. Man, those Gamblers stink. This is the Lake Fork Tackle. Now, out of all 3 of these here, the Lake Fork Tackle is by far the best one because you can slow roll this thing because of the way the segments in here. You can slow roll this, but the problem I had with this sometimes is they try to eat the trailer, and like this one here, it's got a different color tail, and some of them you get them with a chartreuse tail. What I've noticed is they come up and just eat the tail, and so you don't want that. And so what I do is I try to cut it short enough to where the shank of that hook, so what I'll do is I'll kind of match it up, see where the shank of that hook is and how short I can get it, and I'll cut off about that much. Just rip that piece off and get it down there. As far as tail placement, I don't really think it. I mean, probably facing this way, probably a little bit better because it's more of a natural, wiggle of a fish. But I only fish this if the water's super murky. But again, make sure that tail is really short because they will come out here and just bite that tail off, and then that's no good. No bueno. I do like these two, the Zoom Speedworm. I think it's called the Speedworm, yeah. And then the Gambler. Well, can't read it because the label's all messed up. But the Gambler. Now the Gambler does work a little bit better, but it's got a different color tail, and they like to come up and eat that tail. And so if you can find the Gamblers in the solid color, and then maybe you can chartreuse tip them, but I'd rather have the chartreuse on this bait so they hone in on the head more than they do the tail. Because I've had them come up and just eat the tail, and it's very frustrating. And so even if you slow it down, and so when that's the case, what I do is switch to a spinnerbait. But as far as a swim jig, they got a little bit murky water, but you need to call them out of the grass. These Lake Fork hyperworm are probably your best best trailer. Think about it, these are kind of expensive. The Gamblers and the Speedworm are not as expensive. What I would do is throw these in a tournament situation, and I'll throw these pre-fishing or something like that. Another thing too, what I do with these is that I'll take my scissors and cut little segments, not right across from each other, but one here, one here, one here. Just kind of put 3-4 different segments in it, so that does have a little bit better action of moving. And then when you throw it and it hits the water, you start reeling. You can't feel that thump yet, so just start reeling. And then when you snap the rod tip, you don't want to snap and give it slack. You want to snap it, and then just keep coming with it, and then you'll feel that tail start pumping. And then once that tail starts pumping, you can kind of slow it down to the point of where once you've got that tail going, you can actually slow roll it. And so but that's pretty much oh, I do have one jig that I bought, kind of got in the old let's try this jig, and saw it on the website, and is this one. I don't know who makes forget who makes this, but man, I threw this, and I mean, the way the line tie is, it's made to go. It's called the, I think it's the skip and go or something like that, and it can shoot under docks with a lip, because you can turn this lip, and then actually you can make it a wake bait where it'll sit there and, or chatter bait, and kind of chatter and wake, and you can make it run left, you can make it run right. You just turn the head. I just didn't give this one enough of a chance, I guess. It's I don't know. I just have real mixed emotions. If people catching fish on this, and that's awesome, throw it. But as far as like going under the docks, if they're active enough, this one here, you swim it right next to the dock, they'll come out and eat it. And if they don't come out and eat it, they'll come out and show themselves, or the tail or the head, and then you can throw a Cinco in there and catch them most of the time. But as far as this one here, I don't know, I just haven't thrown enough, I guess. So like I said, if people catching fish on it, then keep throwing it, you know. But this one here, another thing I love about a swim jig is that it's light enough that you can skip it. And I'll show how to skip with a bait caster, because I tried skipping with a bait caster a long time ago, and all I get is, I wasn't skipping, I was backlashing. That's what I was doing. And show you some tricks on doing that. But a swim jig is man, it's, if you have some overhanging trees, you skip it in there, you reel it out. As soon as you can see it, you just snap it, and the jig kind of flares out like that, and they can't resist it. They have to come out and eat it. And so but I think that's about all I've got on swim jigs. Just make sure that they have that head. It will save you a lot of frustration and headache. At least it did for me once I switched over to these. I will say that the light wire hook, you catch a bunch of fish, and it doesn't have a lot of skirt to it. Over time, you catch a lot of fish. You'll start losing appendages, the skirt, and your hook will start bending, and especially if you catch a big one. But that's not too bad. Too bad of a price to pay to catch a big one. So that's about it. So thanks for watching my video.